My daughter sneers that I'll get nothing from my ex-wife's $39 million will, but the lawyer just chuckles. He slides a sealed envelope across the table, and her smile cracks. I grip the paper and hear her whisper, "Wait, what did you do?" My name is Howard Mitchell. I'm 68, a retired aerospace engineer, and I live quietly on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. The house keeps its own schedule. AC kicks on, blinds rattle, a jet draws a white stitch across a hot blue sky. I line up a pencil with the edge of my desk. The slide rule sits beside it, yellowed and smooth from years of thumbs. It makes a small click when I fold it shut. I pocket it without thinking. The phone lights. Stephanie. "Forging," she says, voice cool as steel. "Don't expect a penny. Mom made sure of that." "Pennies," I say. "I'm expecting originals." She breathes a quiet laugh. "Paper already said what it needed to say." "Let the paper speak," I answer. "You won't be in the room." The line goes flat. I hold the phone a second longer, as if it might warm back to life. It doesn't. The AC hum grows. On the credenza sits a manila folder from the funeral home. Thin. Too thin for everything we carry. Tack, the phone buzzes again, a softer vibration. Voicemail transcription from Green and Dale. I tap it open and the text scrolls up in blocky lines. Will reading, June 14, 10 a.m. I copy those words onto a sticky note and press it to the corner of my monitor so it kisses the bezel. Heart pulse. I can catalog grief. I will not catalog my erasure. I start a new folder and write in block caps, Estate, Originals Only. The pen digs a small groove. It steadies my hand. I pull a stack of clean paper and make the first divider. Voicemails and calls. Under that, headers and domains. I leave a third divider blank and label it Original Sealed. The last word looks right. It also looks far away. Wiped through recent calls and save the timestamp from Stephanie's number. A few keystrokes, a small private order. In my line of work, routes mattered. Wires, rivets, load paths. A plane doesn't care how you feel about gravity. It flies or it doesn't. Families should come with torque specs. Tage, a soft knock rattles the screen door. I don't move. People mean well the week after a funeral, then they get hungry for the story. I let the knock pass and the screen door sighs shut. I pick up the phone again, thumb hovering over Stephanie's name, and don't press it. Instead, I hit the voicemail icon and listen to the attorney's voice this time, not the transcription. The ordinary calm of it pleases me. No drama, just a date and a time and the texture of an office with a copier in the background. I set the phone down and straighten the desk edge by edge. The slide rule in my pocket rests against my ribs, weighty as a watch. I take it out and lay it flat, then slide it an inch to square with the desk. Precision is a prayer some days. The screen door opens anyway. A gust, or the latch needs tightening. I make a note. Latch. Tighten. Another small repair I can control. A little ritual against the mess. When the AC clicks off, the silence is generous. I open the manila folder and remove the funeral program, smooth the crease, and tuck it into the bottom of the new file. The room smells faintly of paper and pine cleaner, a department store version of fresh. I prefer the smell of machine oil. My daughter used to sit cross-legged on this carpet and ask me why the numbers mattered, why I made such a fuss about tolerances. Because the sky is unforgiving, I told her. It keeps every receipt. She liked that at 12. At 35, she likes the audience more. Unquestioned phone buzzes again. A text from a cousin. "Heard there's no seat for you. You okay?" I type back, "I'll be there. Originals will be read." I do not add a smiley face. I do not add what I want to add. I open the bottom drawer and find my old labeler. The click-click of the tape feels good in the hand. Estate, Originals Only, prints in neat black. I stick it on the folder spine and set the folder upright, not flat. Standing things stand. Tage Family Tension Exchange comes back for a round 2 in my head because you don't end a conversation like that without residue. I tap her contact and record a message instead. Misled, I say, level. I'm not going to argue with you on a phone. If there's paperwork, I'll see the originals at the reading. If there's a seat to be denied, deny it in front of the envelope. I almost add, please, but please belongs to people who are auditioning. I put the slide rule back in my pocket and walk the hallway, touching the frames, test flights, a graduation photo with a cap that cost me a truck. People call it sacrifice. Engineers call it allocation. Either way, you don't take from someone and then salt their name. The sticky note on the monitor glows yellow. Will reading, June 14, 10 a.m., 11 days. Enough time to build a clean path. I pull a fresh sheet and draw a line down the middle. Screens on the left, paper on the right. Under screens, I write. Screenshots, rumors, cropped anything. Under paper, sealed envelope, signatures, chain of custody. The words calm me. I slide the new folder into the front of the drawer where I'll see it every time I sit down. The third divider, original, sealed, waits like an empty runway. Between us and the envelope is a room I don't control. The question isn't whether a room can be won. It's who controls the original when the door opens. Flooded at St. Matthew's smells like burnt coffee and lemon cleaner. Two notes trying to cancel each other. I stop at the coat rack and pin the little flight pin to my collar. It sits there like a reminder that precision travels with you, or it gets left behind. Stephanie's laughter arrives before she does. She stands with two parishioners, palm open as if weighing something delicate. "Mom protected everyone, even from Dad," she says, sweet as frosting. I step into view. The couple stiffens. The coffee urn hisses. "Take," Howard the pastor says, touching my elbow the way people touch a hot pan. "She's carried a lot." "We all have," I say. Stephanie's smile is newsroom perfect. "It's fine. People ask me what happens next. I tell them the attorney made it clear." "Then we'll hear it from the attorney," I say, "from originals." She tilts her head. "Screens are plenty clear." A mop bucket wheel clicks behind us. Luis, the custodian, eases by, gives me a small nod. When Stephanie and the pastor drift toward the sanctuary, he pauses. "Blackmail," he says, voice low. "People repeat what they're shown on screens." "Screens edit," I tell him. "Paper endures." He taps the plastic cover on the bulletin board. "Memorial Weekend Events" shines under laminate. "Dates don't argue," he says. "Just show up." I nod. The bucket wheel clicks away, a small metronome. Back near the coffee urn, the two parishioners are still watching me the way people watch the weather. Stephanie glances over and gives a courteous little wave that is almost a dismissal. I pick up a cardboard cup, then set it down without pouring. The hiss from the urn turns to a thin sputter. "Howard," the pastor tries again, softer. "If you need to talk," I say, and let it be a sentence that can't be counseled away. He blinks, kind eyes, unsure what to do with that. She's grieving, unprotected. I square the flight pin with my thumb. Grief doesn't authorize edits. Stephanie returns for her coat. "I'm meeting the editor for a late lunch," she announces to no one in particular. "There's interest." "Interest in what?" I ask. "In the truth," she says, and lets the word hang like a hymn note. She's good at volume without raising her voice. "Show me the full header," I say evenly. "From the attorney. You wouldn't understand it." A last smile, professional and pitying. She's out the door in a slipstream of perfume and cool air. Take heart, pulse, calm is heavy work when someone makes a sport of you. I stand with a pastor in the foyer's polite echo. Kids run past with paper boats for some Sunday lesson. One bumps my hip and says, "Sorry, mister," like I'm a doorframe. I smile and step aside. Luis's bucket clicks back once more so he can straighten the laminated bulletin. "Memorial Weekend," he says to the air more than to me. "Lot of eyes here that night." "Good," I say. Salute and disappears through the side door. I take out my phone. The sticky note in my head flickers to life. Will reading? June 14, 10 a.m. The bulletin's dates draw a clean runway of weeks toward it. I open a new note and type headers, domains, originals, chain of custody. The words look like rivets lined up on a bench. Family tension finds me at the threshold because it always does. "Dad," Stephanie calls from outside, the door half open, her reflection doubled in the glass. "Please don't make this messy." "I won't," I say. "That's why I'll wait for originals." "People already know," she says. "They know screenshots," I answer. "They'll learn signatures." She exhales, a white flag she can afford. You're going to embarrass yourself. The door closes on its soft hydraulic sigh. The pin sits straight on my collar. The coffee urn finally gurgles into silence. On the bulletin board, the bold type announces dates and times that won't argue back. I memorize them the way I used to memorize part numbers. After church, I walk to the parking lot, take one slow breath of oven air and decide, I won't chase whispers. I'll chase roots. Luis crosses with his bucket. Good week, he says. Good work, I reply. See you after Memorial. He grins and keeps rolling. I drive home without the radio. The car ticks as it cools in the driveway. Inside, I open the Estate, Originals Only folder, and add a fresh page to the divider labeled Headers and Domains. I write, Firm domain, full header, message ID. Then I close the folder and set it upright in the drawer where I can reach it with one hand. The flight pin feels warm against my shirt. Precision travels, and it changes a room. I don't have to win this foyer. I only have to be ready for the room that matters. The church doors will open again next Sunday. The family will gather the Saturday after that. The screens will light up whenever she wants. But the envelope will open once, on a morning that has a number on it, and numbers don't flinch. The bulletin's dates kept their faces turned to the glass the whole time. I carry those dates out with me like coordinates. What I don't carry, what I can't see yet, is the root of that email. Displaced tats, the only part that matters now. Are the attorney email headers authentic? Cousin Mark's living room has that Saturday glow, lamps on in daylight, foil warm on the casserole line, a TV whispering sports in the den. Someone presses a plate into my hands and then thinks better of it, as if roast and diplomacy travel together. Howard, sit, Mark says, voice a touch too bright. Long day, huh? I'm fine standing, I say, setting the plate on a side table. The slide rule rides my pocket like a quiet passenger. Aunt Carol touches my sleeve. Her bracelets clink, thin silver. I'll listen, she says, simple as that. Not take a side, just listen. It lands softer than comfort and heavier than most prayers. Thank you, I tell her. The room shifts, a tide toward the entryway. Stephanie arrives with her reporter's tote and the kind of smile that fits a camera. She doesn't hug anyone. She doesn't need to. The air hugs her. Family, she says, holding the tote like a podium. Since everyone keeps asking what happens next. Mark lifts his chin. We're just glad you're here. She slides a tablet from the tote and wakes it with a thumb. Color washes the room. I spoke with Mom's attorney, she says. He clarified Dad isn't included in the will. I feel people's eyes on me and then away, a respectful flinch. I don't move. She swipes to an email screenshot, cropped tight, from Green and Dale. The body is a neat couple of sentences. The footer is clipped clean off. At the top corner, a timestamp. She angles the tablet so everyone can see. Minimized Isin Leah murmurs, O. The kind of O, reserved for bad news that confirms a hunch. I glance at Aunt Carol. She meets my look and then the tablet. Not nodding, not frowning, just listening. Stephanie, I say even. We'll hear it from an envelope, not a screenshot. Smiles, not at me, at the room. Don't embarrass yourself, Dad. Mal shifts, reflexively host-like. Maybe let's... Preview, I say, not louder, just firmer. Envelopes decide. To need envelopes, she says. They need clarity. Atheists. They need originals, I answer. She turns back to the tablet and scrolls as if there's more, which there isn't. The photo shrugs at the borders where a signature block should live. She doesn't mention that. She doesn't have to. The timestamp shines like it grants the screen a soul. A kid darts through with a paper plate. The knife on the roast rasps against the platter. The TV in the next room flickers a baseball highlight. Someone mutes it halfway through a cheer. The room has learned to be quiet around her. Stormed, here's what's going to happen, she says, finishing the story before it begins. The will reading is a formality, but there won't be a seat for him. She doesn't look at me when she says him. I let the words pass through me like wind through a hangar. A plane doesn't argue the gust. It calculates load. Who sent that? I ask. The attorney, she says. Unmistake full header, I say. Not the crop. Regan understand it. The smile widens a millimeter. Pity that thinks it's kindness. A cousin clears his throat. Steph, maybe. It's fine, she assures him. I just don't want there to be confusion. Mom made sure of that. I look at the kitchen calendar behind her shoulder. A square is ringed in red ink. June 14, 10 a.m. I raise my phone and take a picture of the calendar, not the tablet. I center the date and the wall clock beside it. People who think you're petty will call it petty. People who build things will call it a record. Aunt Carol steps closer, just enough for me to hear. I see the date, she says. I'll be there. Thank you, I say again. The two words carry more cargo now. Stephanie notices the phone and tilts the tablet higher, shielding it like a candle from a draft. Dad, stop, she says. I stopped chasing screens a long time ago, I reply. They chase themselves. Family tension scores a clean hit, she says. Everyone sees it. They see a crop, I say. They'll hear an envelope. Shrugged exhales like she's blowing out candles. You always make things difficult. Yes, I make them exact, I say. Different sport. Leah's husband tries to smile it away. We should eat, he suggests. The room adopts his suggestion like a stray. Warm it, feed it, pretend it belongs. I step back, not out. I put a hand on the slide rule and feel its edges, the notches that once meant thrust and lift and safety. There's a comfort in something that refuses to lie because it doesn't know how to. Stephanie pockets the tablet. Let's keep tonight pleasant, she says, which is code for let's keep tonight mine. Of course, I say. Pleasant comes in June at 10 a.m. Her eyes flick, not a flinch, more like a note to self. We line up for plates. The roast is tender, the potatoes honest. Mark tries a story about a co-worker's RV derailment. It derails itself halfway through. You can't steer a room with gravy. While a little later, Stephanie finds me by the bookshelf, where models of planes we built in the 70s still look fast. She lowers her voice for just the two of us. You're not invited, she says. I don't need an invitation, I say. I need the original. You'll be turned away. Then let them do it in front of witnesses. Why are you like this? Because the sky keeps every receipt, I say. Some habits are good ones. She shakes her head, a journalist's no that doubles as yes to herself. You're going to regret this. I regret a lot of things, I say. Believing a crop will not be one of them. She leaves me with the bookshelf and the models. I pick up a B-52 and feel the cold of die cast through my palm. I set it down exactly where it was. It faces due east, like it always has. Another small, private order. People begin saying their goodbyes in low, well-meant tones that are really verdicts. I shake hands like a man explaining turbulence. Yes, it bumps. No, it doesn't mean we're falling. At the door, Aunt Carol squeezes my forearm. If there's an envelope, she says, I'd like to hear it, and the way it's opened, you say. She looks at the calendar, then at the wall clock. I watch her watch them. The brain makes time into a thing we can hold when there's nothing else to hold. The night with the smell of roast still on my hands, and the low hum of a streetlight flattening the moss. The phone is warm in my pocket. I open a note and type 3 words. Headers, domain, route. Then I put the phone away. Because this is not a screen fight. This is a paper fight, and paper fights wait for rooms with doors that close. The living room glow leans into the curtains. Somewhere in there a tablet cools on a charger, resting after a performance. Out here the air tastes like dust and the neighbor's orange tree. I like the outside better. The sky, unedited, is large enough to make sense. On the sidewalk I take one last look through the window at the kitchen calendar and the clock above it. The picture I took is clean. It asks a simple question that will matter tomorrow and the days after. Can the law firm confirm the header routing and discredit that screenshot? The city library hums like a careful machine, soft fans, shoes on carpet, an occasional throat clear that gets shushed by the air itself. I slide into the tech desk where a sign says, Need headers, ask us. Someone did their job. The IT aide swivels toward me, eyebrows up. How can I help? And the full header on an email. I say, not a screenshot, roots, not rumors. Smile, someone gives a person speaking their dialect. Gmail or Outlook? Gmail. Open the message, right. View original. He taps the air. That's your route. On the public terminal, the block of text looks like a parts list. Received, from by message ID. I feel better already. Planes and emails both admit where they've been if you read them right. Take college kid in a faded ROTC tee leans on the counter, noticing the old Air Force patch stitched inside my jacket. Sir, he says, a quiet nod. Not salute, not theater, just recognition. You fly, I ask. Studying too, he says. We had a comms lab last week. Professor said, roots don't lie. Smart professor, I say. The kid's respect resets the room a few degrees toward true. Print from that screen, the IT aide says. Footer will stamp a time. Staple, label. Keep it neat if you need to show anyone. Neat I can do. I select print. The big printer wind-ups. A warm breath of fuser heat rolling out. The ROTC kid slides me a stapler like it's a tool on a flight line. My phone buzzes. Stephanie. Stop snooping. We'll let originals speak, I text back. You won't be in the room. Then deny me in front of the envelope. Bustles. The header scroll prints, curling slightly as it cools. I scan for the one line that should anchor the route and find an anomaly. Message ID pattern wrong for Green and Dale's domain. It's a hunch, not a verdict. Hunches don't fly. Air needs numbers. Want me to show you MX records for the firm? The aide asks. Show, don't teach, I say. I'll learn after. Unprotected. Pulls up the firm's domain, points at a neat list. These are the accepted mail exchangers. If the header says it traveled through a cheap relay, that's not them. I say, half to him, half to the paper. Exactly. I add a cover page, email header, unverified, and write the library terminal number at the top with a dull pencil that still finds its line. The ROTC kid flips the stapler into my palm. We make a packet that would pass a hangar inspection. Need anything else? The aide asks. A seat for the prince, I say. He hands me the little strip without a word. The timestamp on the footer and the time on the receipt match within the minute. Good enough for government work, better than gossip. Heart pulse. Quiet pride is the right size. This is how you outfly noise. Back home, the AC exhales and the blinds buzz once when I open them. I lay the packet on my desk and square it with the edge using the slide rule as a straight edge. The plastic feels like it did the year Stephanie learned long division on it. Little fingers tapping the cursor. I start a montage that respects time. Label the folder spine email, unverified. Clip the header packet inside. Add the receipt to the back sleeve. One set of staples, not three. People distrust messy paper, even when it's true. Ping. Stephanie. You're ridiculous. Forging, I text back. That's the word you want. Confiscated on my screen blinks like a patient metronome. I open a new document titled Header Notes and type what I will not say out loud. Claims firm domain. Message ID pattern inconsistent with firm's MX. Footer absent in screenshot used at family gathering. No conclusion yet. I set the packet at the front of the Estate Originals Only folder. The slide rule aligns to its margin as if it were designed for this. The phone rings again. Unknown number. I let it pass, then check voicemail. Someone from the HOA cheerfully announcing next week's agenda. Section 12 will wait its turn. Each problem gets its own runway. Polishing act to the library print footer and circle the timestamp with a thin pen line. One visible cue, no extra codes. The gear in my chest settles a click deeper into its teeth. The ROTC kid's phrase loops in my head. Routes don't lie until it becomes mine. Which it was before he said it. I set my hands flat on the desk. Fenshin tries another pass. Stephanie, everyone already saw the email. Bang, me. Then everyone can see the header. Position. You won't understand it. Me. I don't have to. It understands itself. Forging typing bubble appears, vanishes, returns, then disappears for good. Air goes quiet around the phone when people decide they've said enough. I take the packet to the copier for one clean duplicate, front and back, and tuck the copy behind the original. No more. The rest is a room with doors and witnesses. I look at the sticky on my monitor. 10 days to will reading. June 14, 10 a.m. The numbers are steady. The way altitude is steady when you trim right. I write a single line at the bottom of the header notes, and then I stop for the night because discipline beats theater. Career firm domain confirmation anomalies noted. No conclusion yet. The bell over the door gives a single ding as I step into Mesa Micro Repair. Fluorescents buzz, and something smells like warm solder and plastic. A hand-lettered sign reads Fast Fixes, Slower Truth. That earns a half smile from me. Can I help you? The owner asks. Mid-40s, steady eyes, shirt with his name stitched. R. Patel. I need an objective note, I say. One paragraph, technical, no opinions. Terranaut. He raises an eyebrow. On? I set the header packet on the counter. Full headers printed yesterday at the city library. I want a simple statement about whether this attorney email actually routes through the firm's domain. He flips the packet open. The wall clock behind him ticks loud enough to mark each thought. His tool case on the counter edge carries a faded USAF decal. Kang it. You serve? Avionics, he says, and something relaxes between us. Short and exact wins. Let's see the route. He logs into a workstation, types like a man who's done this particular dance 1,000 times. The header fills his second monitor. He leans in, quiet. ID pattern is off, he says. Return path to a relay I wouldn't trust with coupons. The firm's MX is here, here, and here, he points. But this didn't go that way. Navigatives, I remind, and he grins. Copy that. Side event slips in like a friendly hand on the shoulder. I dad flu, he says, eyes still on the screen. He used to say, you don't argue the instruments. Mine too, I say. We're reading instruments. He nods once, prints a single sheet, and slides it to me. Blank. Dictate the bones, I'll rephrase to neutral. I read steady. On review of the provided full email headers, the message ID and routing do not match the mail exchangers associated with the named law firm's domain. In my professional opinion, the referenced email did not originate from that domain. He types in a business template, deletes professional opinion, replaces it with technical assessment, and adds his letterhead at the top. He trims one clause, tightens another. Short and exact, he says again, almost to himself. He prints on heavier paper this time. The laser's fuser breath warms my knuckles. He signs R. Patel with a neat block print and dates it. Photo with the wall clock, I ask. Better. Use the receipt timestamp, he says, holding up the register paper. One proof cue is enough. $5 even. The receipt curls in my palm, ink still glossy. 11:28 a.m. I lay it beside the letter and take a quick photo of the two together. One visible timestamp, nothing else. Chain of custody, he asks. I'll scan to counsel and file the original, I say. No duplicates beyond one. Good, he says. People trust tidy paper. Heart pulse. Tiny facts move heavy doors. I slide the attestation into a manila envelope, put the receipt in the flat pocket, and align them with a push of my finger until the edges kiss. The slide rule in my pocket glints under the lights, old plastic finding its line. Family tension doesn't like to wait its turn. My phone vibrates. Kang, voicemail to Stephanie. Your email isn't from Green and Dale. I have a signed technical note saying so. A minute later, a text pops. Stephanie, bring whatever you want. Screens move faster than letters. Me, bring that crop to a room with a seal. Stephanie, you won't make it past the lobby. I pocket the phone and breathe the solder smell again. Patel slides a clear sleeve across the counter. Free, he says, keeps corners from dog-earing. Appreciate it. On my way out, a teenage customer in a varsity hoodie holds the door. He glances at the envelope, then at my face, and decides not to ask. Good choice. Outside, the parking lot radiates heat through my shoes. I set the envelope on the passenger seat like a passport. At home, I run the cleanest montage a man can run without turning into a machine. Scan the signed letter to Green and Dale with the subject line, Technical Assessment, Spoofed Attorney Email. Attach yesterday's header PDF. Add one sentence. Receipt timestamp attached for when assessment was issued, 11:28 a.m. I CC myself, then print the sent email confirmation And do not staple it to the letter. It goes behind. Originals breathe better when they're not overhandled. I slip the letter and receipt into the estate Originals Only folder under headers and domains. The slide rule lays across the folder spine like a ruler across a blueprint. I let the house go quiet. Outside, a neighbor's wind chime knocks two notes that can't agree. The sticky note on my monitor says 9 days to the will reading. 9 is a good number. It's enough to build structure and not enough to get cute. I call Colonel Davis and leave a message. Sir, I've got a signed tech note on the fake email. Appreciate your word on character when we're in public rooms. I hang up. That man's voice could land a plane without a runway. The phone buzzes again. Unknown. I let it roll to voicemail. A woman's voice I don't know says she's from the HOA and wants to remind residents that only deed holders may address the meeting. The timing is a coincidence until it isn't. I look at the envelope with Patel's signature and the honest little register slip. One paragraph, one timestamp, one step forward. You don't land in one go. You trim, you line up, you trust the instruments, and you fly the approach you planned. The next room won't be a repair shop. The next room will have a binder and a bylaw and a gavel that pretends it's the law. If this email falls, she'll pivot. Screens always find new stories to tell themselves. And that's the question that keeps the air moving between my ribs as I close the folder. If the email falls, will Stephanie pivot to a will scan before the reading? Rocks the stage, smells like varnish and old speeches. I tap the mic once, too hot, and the stage tech dials it back with 2 flicks like he's dimming a porch light. No slides, he asks. No slides, I say, just words. Bless you, he mutters. The projector fan whirs anyway. Someone always brings a show. He lays a program on the lectern and smooths the corner. At the bottom, small type. Memorial program, Thursday, 6 p.m. The footer is a steady little clock. Numbers that don't argue. House rule, he says, ripping a strip of gaffer tape and tacking a cable. If somebody plays media, we email it to the hall account after. Archives. Keeps the he said, she said to a minimum. Good policy, I say, filing it away like a spare fuse. Pole on the stage right. Colonel Davis appears from the wings as if he walked out of a recruitment poster. Ramrod posture, tie straight. He checks the program, then my face. Keep it clean and short, he says, kindly. And if it turns, I'll stand. I kept promises when it was expensive, I tell him. I can keep it short. Nods. He nods. Then you'll be fine. His presence makes the room square itself, a degree toward true. In the foyer, the air is cooler and smells like carnations and coffee from an urn that's never quite right. Stephanie is there, perched on a window ledge with 2 guests, her tote between her knees. Her voice is low and shaped.
Sometimes context confuses people.
She says, and both guests nod as if they've learned something. She looks over their heads and finds me.
Did it?
I ask, not stopping.
Position spans don't reward whole.
She says, smile thin enough to slice.
Then bring anything you bring whole.
I reply.
If you bring anything at all.
One of the guests blinks. Is there a disagreement?
There's a reading.
I say.
Rooms that count have doors that close.
Unveiled's mouth tilts.
You love rules when they're yours.
I love rules when they're not yours, I say and let the line sit. It earns me nothing in the moment but my own posture. Back on stage, I tap the slide rule once against the lectern, a ritual more than a sound. The plastic is warm from my pocket. The stage tech catches the tap, curious.
Old school.
He says.
Old worked.
I answer. Taya people fill the seats. A Boy Scout troop settles. Flags in a row like exclamation points catching their breath. The MC checks his cards and gives me a 2-finger signal. 5 minutes. Colonel Davis leans near enough that only I hear. They'll come for your temper. I brought a thermostat, I say, tapping my chest. It's set to dignity. He smiles in a way that doesn't show teeth. Good setting. I start my remarks with a story about a test stand in '79 where the wind made fools of our graphs until we listened. No slides, no video, no apologies. The room does that thing rooms do when they're not fighting you, breathing together. In the back, The projector throws a pale rectangle onto the far wall. Idle, expectant. The stage tech lowers its brightness like a man dimming drama. I finish at 4 minutes and change, not 5, because brevity is a kind of respect too. Applause, the ordinary kind. Hands, not cheers. The MC thanks the sponsors and reads the last names of volunteers. I step off the stage and the varnish smell steps with me. It sticks to your shoes a little. In the foyer again, Stephanie is mid-whisper with a different pair. The word video slips out like a coin and hits tile. I catch it, look at her tote, then at the idle glow of the projector through the open doors. Bring it whole, I say, softer now. She tips her head. We'll see what people need. Reluctance need truth, I say. They need a story, she counters. Stories fail, I say. Truth flies. A small scene at the coffee urn. 2 veterans argue about whether the flyover will be 2 F-16s or 4. It's a friendly argument. I prefer those. Heart, pulse. Pride is allowed, as long as it doesn't crowd out the work. Kern Davis comes to my shoulder. You were steady, he says. If a screen lights up, say my name. I will, I say. The stage tech passes us, waving the program like a fan. Remember, he tells no one in particular, anything played gets emailed to the hall account. See, I say to Stephanie, rooms with doors, rules that aren't yours or mine. Unfinish one of the guests with both arms while looking over her shoulder at me. The embrace is a performance and a promise. The tote sits on the window ledge like a closed mouth. I leave before the projector gets a chance to decide the evening. Outside, the flag halyards click against the pole in a rhythm that sounds like a code. I don't have to decode it. I already know what's coming. Back at the car, the program's footer winks up at me from the passenger seat. Memorial program, Thursday, 6 p.m. A small, steady clock I can hold between my fingers. I rule and let it press a line into my palm. Precision is a ritual before it's a tactic. I look back through the glass doors one last time. The projector's pale eye is open now, and people are turning their heads toward it the way sunflowers turn toward sun, which leaves a single clean question trembling in the air between us. Will Stephanie weaponize a clipped video at the hall? The HOA clubhouse smells like carpet shampoo and old coffee. A folding table blocks the door with a sign-in clipboard that ran out of lines 2 households ago. Write small, the chair says, pushing a dying marker across the page. The squeak makes people wince. It's not legible, a neighbor complains. We'll fix it later, the chair mutters, already moving on. The agenda stack is thin, 3 pages stapled off-center. Budget, landscaping, open comments, deed holders only. Stephanie flips to that line before she even sits. The bylaw binder rides her hip like a holstered weapon. I take a seat at the aisle, slide rule in my pocket, palm on it like a pilot finding a switch by feel. The chair bangs a plastic gavel that sounds like a toy. 7 p.m., calling to order. We'll keep comments brief. They sprint through budget and landscaping like kids eyeing dessert. Then, open comments, legalize. Howard Mitchell, Unit 12. Briefly on a misinformation issue affecting my family in this community. Stephanie is already on her feet, binder open to a page bristling with tabs. Section 12, she says, bright and practiced. Open comments are for current deed holders only. The chair leans toward her page like it grants courage. Yes, Section 12, that's correct. I jointly held the deed until my wife's passing last month, I say calm. The transfer is in probate. I have a certified deed history request pending. Pending isn't present, Stephanie says with a smile that invites nods. We have to protect meeting order. Reckless a murmur ripples. Folding chairs scrape. The chair searches for a safe harbor and finds the rule book. Mr. Mitchell, we'll have to move on, he says. Please, take your seat. Restarting, I'm in my seat, I say, and let it be the only friction I offer. The gavel taps. It doesn't sound like authority, it sounds like plastic against plastic. But people obey sounds more than meanings. Heads turn away from me as if on a hinge. I put my phone down on the agenda, lift both together and frame a photo that catches the open comments. Deed holders only, line and the wall clock behind the chair. 7:14 p.m. One image, one cue. I lower the phone without checking it. You either trust your hand or you don't. Next commenter, the chair says relieved. A neighbor stands to talk about hedges as if we didn't just litigate a person. The side door opens on a whisper of outside air. People from the back drift out to take calls. I stay put. Humiliation is a test of structure. Mine holds. After adjournment, I wait while chairs clatter and clicks reform. Stephanie is immediately flanked by two board members who smile with their teeth. I pick a place where the exit sign paints the carpet red and let her come to me. That rule protects order, she says, not a greeting. It protects whoever holds paper, I say. Be careful what you think you're holding. You're making people uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is not the same as wrong. She opens the binder an inch, a theatrical little bloom. We'll keep the room civil, she says to the air, as if I'd promised a fight. Civil isn't your problem, I say. Truth is. Her eyes flash, quick. Truth is what the room believes, Dad. Idibly, rooms are temporary, I say. Records aren't. Family tension has learned our rhythm. We keep it short because the next room is already waiting on. Hums with gossip and engines. The sky holds a thin, early summer purple, the kind that promises heat. Stephanie follows, heels ticking a metronome. You can't speak if you're not on the deed, she says softer now for me. That's not my rule. It's the rule you borrowed, I say. You can borrow rules, you can't borrow truth. She tilts her head, calculating. You're going to wear yourself out. I fly on instruments, I say, not crowd noise. Crowds decide reputations, she says. Courts decide records, I answer. Pick your venue. She laughs once, not amused. I already did. The laugh sticks to the evening like static. She walks toward a car already idling for her, lights on, narrative warmed. I step to the clubhouse window and take a second photo, just the wall clock over the agenda table, now reading 7:29. I don't keep it, I delete it. One cue is enough. The first one will do the job. Heart pulse. Shame is loud. Proof is patient. Neighbors pour past with the light talk people use when they've seen something heavy. A man I've waved to for 10 years gives me a thumbs up that means nothing and everything. I saw that. I didn't help. I let him go. I don't need help. I need timing. Tack. Home. I place the agenda page under a clear sleeve and jot a single line at the bottom of my notes. Muzzle recorded, 7:14 p.m. I do not staple, I do not highlight. I put the sleeve behind the header packet and close the drawer. The sticky on my monitor says 7 days to the reading. 7 is a good number for tightening bolts. I grip the slide rule, feel its edges, put it back. The phone vibrates with a new voicemail from an unknown number. I don't play it. Not tonight. The house goes quiet, and in the quiet is the shape of what comes next. A recorder's stamp, a lawyer's envelope, a veteran's stage, a projector's pale eye. Stephanie will keep choosing rooms he can bend. I'll keep choosing rooms with minutes. Which leaves the only useful question humming under everything. Will the certified deed history arrive in time to restore standing before the reading? Green and Dale's reception smells like paper and citrus cleaner. The fragrance of rooms that prefer facts to feelings. A receptionist with a precise bun looks up and nods to my folder. Mr. Mitchell? Initial here for intake chain. She slides a small card across the counter. Rubber date stamp thuds the corner. I add HM in the box that says received by reception, then set the pen down so it's parallel with the card's edge. Ms. Rios will bring you back, she says, and, almost as if she heard my thoughts, nudges the desk blotter toward me. In the corner, big block letters. T4 days, June 14, 10 a.m. Linger the number settles the air in my chest. Miyaka Rios appears with a tablet tucked under her arm, half smile that says on schedule. Mr. Mitchell, come on in. Green's office holds shelves of quiet spines and a single sealed manila envelope on the credenza like a small sun. He doesn't touch it. We don't chase posts, he says by way of greeting. We open originals. I'm here, I answer. Routes and deeds, not comments. Mia pretches by a side table and opens my estate, originals only folder with the same care she'd use with a fragile book. Headers, she says, tapping the packet, And a technical assessment attached. Good. Rubber stamp. Intake. She logs a brief note on the tablet. Glover Tina steeples his fingers. We'll let the reading do what readings do. Between now and Saturday, don't feed screens. I'm done arguing with glass, I say. The speakerphone lights briefly. He ignores it. A copier hums down the hall. The office heartbeat. Next steps, I ask. Kwahan, Mia says. Then you go home and eat something that isn't coffee. We'll see you Saturday at 9:50. One vibrates. I flip it face down on my knee, but the screen still leaks the name. Stephanie. Take it, Green says, mild. Better to hear it than imagine it. I hit speaker so everyone shares the air. Dad, Stephanie says, people have a right to know what Mom wanted. There's already a scan making the rounds. It's clear. Bring it to the room that counts, I say. The public room counts, she replies, sweet steel. The scan shows your name's not there. Green leans back, unimpressed. Mia doesn't look up from the tablet. We'll hear from an envelope, I say, not a screenshot. Unprotected, recalibrating tone. You keep hiding behind procedure. Procedure keeps records honest, I tell her. You should try it. I'll see you Saturday, she says, which is both promise and threat, and the line goes dead. Punctuation taps a square on her screen. Noted, she says to no one in particular. Green gestures to the credenza. This stays sealed until we're all in the room. When it opens, you'll speak one line, not a speech. Words weigh more when they're fewer, I say. He nods approval. Recorder? The county recorder's counter is a long trough of formica where paper goes in and stamps come out. The clerk greets me without looking up. Chain history? She asks. Yes, ma'am, I say, sliding the request across. She reads my labels, then looks at the folder. A small smile. Makes my job easy. I like things that don't fail, I say. She stamps a receipt with the practiced thud of someone anchoring boats all day. 3 to 5 business days, she says, but the request's in the system now. Thank you. Plunge. Don't thank me, she says. Thank your own handwriting. Legible beats fast most days. Back home, the house exhales its same late afternoon breath. I set the new receipt into intake and write a single line in my notes. Recorder, request logged, intake complete. The slide rule rests beside Green's sealed envelope on the counter. Old precision beside sealed truth. They look like two instruments that will soon agree. Heart pulse, quiet routes, loud results. I call Green's office to confirm the Saturday time and get Mia's voicemail. Mitchell, I say. Intake done. I'll bring no posts, only paper. I hang up and drink a glass of water like it's a task on a checklist. Family tension knocks anyway, because it never uses the front desk. A text. Stephanie. You're clinging to process because you know the truth is ugly. Me. Process is what truth wears to be seen. You'll be everywhere by Friday. Me. Bring it to witnesses or it doesn't exist. Blackjack, I put the phone down and let the AC hush the room. At the kitchen table, I lay out the 3 pieces that matter today. Header packet, technical assessment, recorder receipt. I don't make a shrine. I make an order. 1 stack. Edges flush. For a moment, I picture the conference room. The wall clock at 10, the chairs, the way Stephanie will choose a seat that photographs well if you're sitting to her left. I picture the envelope opening the way good hatches open. Without drama, revealing what they've been built to protect. On the counter, the desk calendar I snagged from the office sits open where I dropped it. In the corner, in big block letters written by Mia's neat hand, the day is marked again. T4 days, June 14, 10 a.m. The numbers are not sentimental. They are anchors. I put the slide rule beside the calendar, plastic against paper, and feel the small satisfaction of 2 simple tools doing what they were made to do, keep things straight. The house goes quiet enough for the fridge to click. Outside, a dog barks twice and forgets why. Saturday will open a door I've been walking toward for longer than I admit. Between here and there is a projector and an appetite for drama I can't control. Which leaves the only question worth keeping on my screen tonight, where it can't talk back. Will Stephanie publish a falsified will scan before the reading? Colonel Davis pours coffee the way he talks, measured, no spill. His kitchen smells like cedar and black pepper. A service coin sits by the napkin holder, a small, heavy moon. "I'll come if it turns," he says, sliding a mug across. "I won't grandstand, just a sentence." "That sentence carries more weight than all my paragraphs," I say. I set my slide rule beside his coin, so they share the table edge. Two legacies that don't apologize for being old. "My word is a promise, not a prop," he says. "I know," I take the mug. "Borrowed honor still has to be earned." He nods once, and the nod feels like a signature. We drive to the boutique video lab in his truck because trucks don't gossip. The lobby is narrow and cool, lit by a glass case of film cameras that look like they'd bite you if you mishandled them. "Welcome," the receptionist says. A barcode scanner chirps as she logs us. "Intake's simple. We assign a file hash now, issue a preliminary note today if we see obvious edits, and only do a full report if requested after. Keep scope honest." "Honest is good," I say. She tilts her head. "Pickup ticket shows your time," she adds, sliding a small slip toward me. The footer prints with a soft tick. The technician is a quiet woman in a denim jacket with sleeves pushed to her elbows. She escorts us back to a workbench where a monitor waits, black and patient. I hand over a thumb drive, the same one the hall used to test the projector, delivered by the MC. She opens the clip. The audio crackles, then settles. We watch me, my worst version, raise my voice in a kitchen months ago. We don't hear what came before, we don't hear what came after. She taps the spacebar, rewinds, plays, slows. Draws lines on the waveform with the mouse. "Cut joins here and here," she says. "Audio drift inconsistent with continuous capture." She glances at me but doesn't reach for adjectives. I appreciate that. "Can you put that in a preliminary note?" I ask. "One paragraph, no conclusions beyond what you see." "Yes," she says. "We do that," she types. "Efficient. Discharged." In the lobby, Davis stands with his hands behind his back, like a parade rest that no longer reports to anyone. A college kid near the neon open sign says into his phone, "She's tough," reading a headline I don't need to see. The sign buzzes a thin blue sound. I let the sound pass through me and out the door. The technician returns with a single sheet and a ticket stapled to the top. "Preliminary observations," she says. "Cut joins and audio drift noted. We'll keep the file hash in our system in case counsel wants a full report later." I read it once. Once is enough. "May I take a photo with the ticket footer visible?" I ask. "Of your copy, yes," she says. "Not of our bench." I set the note on the counter and frame the footer timestamp, T-3 days nested next to the lab's name. One visible cue. I lower the phone without checking the shot because I trust my hand today. "Psychiatrist, actually," I say. "We don't take sides," she answers. "Neither does physics," Davis says mildly. "That's why it's useful." On the sidewalk, he tucks his service coin back into a pocket lined by habit. At the hall, if a screen lights up, "I'll say your name," I tell him. He nods. "And I'll say 6 words, and then we'll sit down." "Which 6? He smiles. "You'll hear them when everyone else does. Heart pulse. Borrowed honor still has to be earned." Back in the truck, I call Stephanie and let it go to voicemail so I can choose calm. "Bring the full clip," I say after the tone, "not the chopped one. If you want the room to believe you, give the room a whole." Stephanie, "People don't have time for whole." Me, "Truth makes time. Edits make noise." She replies with a single emoji I can't parse, and I don't try. At home, I run the briefest montage allowed by the gods of paperwork. Scan the prelim note to green with the subject video clip, preliminary edit flag, T-3. Attach nothing else. Put the original note behind the header packet. Write one line in my log. Prelim, cut joins, audio, drift. I made the moj by family. Family tension tests the door again before the day is done. Stephanie, "Why are you dragging strangers into this?" Me, "Witnesses aren't strangers, they're mirrors." Stephanie, "Mirrors make people self-conscious." Me, "Only if they're unsure what they'll see." No typing bubble this time. Just stillness. Night pools up against the windows. I set the slide rule beside Davis's coin again in my head, because in my head his kitchen table is where the day makes sense. The lab ticket's footer sits there on the copy, T, 3 days, and the numbers don't argue. The hall is tomorrow. The projector is patient. The room will tilt one way or the other, depending on who speaks first and who speaks last. Which leaves one question I can live with between now and then. Can Stephanie still sway the room at the Veterans Hall before the reading? The projector wakes like a big eye, throwing a pale rectangle over the flag. My name is still on the MC's card when Stephanie slips past him with her tote and a smile meant for headlines. Just a quick clip, she says into the mic. For context. Keep it short, the MC says, already flustered. Take. The room turns toward the light. On screen, my kitchen. My voice, mid-argument, louder than I like to admit. The clip has no before, no after, just anger trimmed to fit. Murmurs rise. A chair leg screeches. The projector fan surges. I touch the slide rule in my pocket and feel its familiar edges. Breathe. Finish. File. Colonel, I say into my mic, steady. Would you stand a moment? A quick procedural whisper behind me, MC to stage tech. Policy says we archive media. The tech nods toward a laptop logged into the hall account. Colonel Davis steps into the aisle. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Integrity isn't edited, he says. The room exhales. The MC finds his footing. If media is presented, he announces louder now, we email the file to the Veterans Hall account immediately for our records. Ms. Mitchell, please send it now. Stephanie's smile tightens a millimeter. Is that necessary? She asks. Policy, the MC says. We keep archives. Artisan. She hesitates, then plugs a cable into her tablet and taps. The tech reads off an address. On the MC's phone screen, the outbox opens. The subject line mirrors in his glasses. Kitchen argument, context.mp4. A beat. Then the little flag pops. Sent 6:22 p.m. Only thing we're logging, the MC says, mostly to himself. Thank you, I tell him. Mr. Mitchell, he says, relieved to get back to a script. I return to the lectern and the varnish smell steadies me. I spent a career making sure airplanes didn't fail strangers, I say into the mic. That taught me 2 habits. Test everything and don't mistake a snapshot for a structure. A ripple of chuckles from the veterans. They know the difference. I keep it tight. Whatever anyone shows you on a screen tonight, we will hear an original opened in a room with witnesses on Saturday at 10 a.m. That's where a will speaks. In the second row claps once, decisive. The room follows. Tia in the hallway. Stephanie corners me as chairs scrape and the projector cools with a soft ticking. You turned that into a stunt, she says. You tried to, I answer. We turned it into a record. You think a policy email makes you honest? Edit all you want. The envelope doesn't splice. Family tension pulls tight. She leans in. People saw enough. Cut, I say. On Saturday, they'll hear an original. Her jaw works a beat. She gathers her tote like it insulted her. Colonel Davis appears at my elbow, a lighthouse that doesn't blink. You kept your thermostat set, he says. I had help, I answer. The MC walks past, phone in hand. Copy is in the hall inbox, he says to me, as if to reassure himself. Sent at 6:22. Appreciated, I say. Thank you for running a clean room. He nods, grateful for the words. Outside, the flag halyards tick in a dry breeze. The crowd spills onto the steps, already rewriting what they saw into what they'll say. That's fine. Records travel slower. They arrive. My phone buzzes, a text from Green. Original secure, be early. A sound, it's the click after sent. I slide the phone back into my pocket and touch the slide rule once more. Not for luck. There's no luck in this. Just to feel its straight line under my thumb. Saturday has a door. Rooms with doors have clocks. We're almost there. His conference room smells like lemon oil and paper, the clean scent of rooms that choose facts over volume. A single sealed manila envelope sits on the credenza. I set my slide rule beside it as if the two were old colleagues reunited. Left of me, Green says, tapping the chair nearest his elbow. You'll speak one line after I read the dispositive clause. Then silence. Ailments, not volume, I say. Subordinate. Exactly. ID packet, her tablet under one arm. Deed chain came through, she says. Recorder pushed the PDF a few minutes ago. She tilts the screen so I can see the header bar and the small stamp at the top. Received 9:42 a.m. Improper. I don't need to read anything else. One cue is enough. Blackjack will log it, Green says. No speeches about it. I brought none, I answer. Mia slides the printed cover sheet into a clear sleeve and clips it into the case file. Lobby protocol next, she says. We're controlling the door. We walk out to reception. The badge printer chirps like a polite bird. The lobby guard stands attentive, coat too big, attention the right size. Mia says, we print the sign-in hourly. Only the latest sheet is valid. If someone tries to enforce an old list, you replace it. Latest sheet rules the door, he repeats, steady. Hourly. If there's friction, Green adds, call Mia. Do not argue, do not interpret, do not negotiate. Yes, sir. Unless the rules slide into the room like a keel under a boat. It doesn't make waves, it prevents them. Take. The receptionist holds up a little white triangle. Do you want the tent card for the room? It says, reserved. Mitchell in neat block letters. Place it, Green says. The card slides across wood with a whisper sound that good paper makes. The sealed envelope watches from its perch. Buzzes. Stephanie. Analogous. Amy, you're not on the list. Me. List refresh hourly policy. Policy bends. Me. Minutes don't. A beat. No reply. Anything urgent? Green asks. Wind, I say. We'll fly through it. Forging flicks to her inbox and opens a new message. The subject line fills the screen in bold. Will Redding, tomorrow 10 a.m. She carbon copies the guard. On the preview pane, the first line reads, doors open 9:50, seating per council, no recordings during reading, minutes to follow. That covers it, Green says. Now let's rehearse. Back in the conference room, he sets a metronome with his hand. Figurative, but I can hear it. My line. Then yours. Then silence, he repeats. If she argues, I address. If anyone asks for comment, you say, the record speaks. Once. The record speaks. It feels like a tool that doesn't slip. Mia places the deed history sleeve behind the header packet, then closes the file with one clean tap. Chains intact, she says. Headers, tech assessment, hall email, recorder receipt. All advance, none overclaim. We keep it boring. Boring wins. Boring flies, I say. We break so Mia can brief the guard again. I follow them to the lobby where the badge printer chirps out a test. The guard places it on a clipboard. Latest sheet rules the door, he says to himself, practicing. I like him for that. Submerged, the building's HVAC breathes a long, even line. The elevator dings and delivers a pair of clients who step out, see the envelope on the credenza through the glass, and glance at me like I'm the reason paper still exists. I accept the glance without apology. Heart pulse. I'm not loud. I'm ready. Bad family? Tension tries to scratch at the glass. Stephanie, midnight's a long time. People care about truth. Me. Then bring truth to the table tomorrow. Browser screens will be ready. Ningthen me. The envelope already is. Green caps a pen, reads my face and doesn't ask. Go home, he says. Eat, sleep, bring nothing tomorrow except yourself. Conquered. Copy. At the elevator, Mia stops me with a small, practical gesture. She squares the edge of my estate, originals only, folder against my palm like she's aligning a wing root rib. Left of Mr. Green at 10 sharp, she says. We start on time. Roomance, I say. Exactly. The elevator doors close with the hiss of a room that knows how to be quiet. I carry the folder like a passport. Downstairs, the lobby guard practices under his breath. Latest sheet rules the door, as if learning a new prayer. Outside, the sun flattens the sidewalk into a bright sheet of heat. Cars fizz past like ideas that won't stick. Mine is simple. Tomorrow, a door opens. Rooms with doors have clocks. Clocks favor the prepared. Back home, I place the folder on the kitchen table and line the slide rule along its edge. The house is as silent as it was the day I made the first divider. I tape a fresh sticky above the monitor anyway, T24H, and leave it blank besides the number, because the number says enough. I walk the hall once, touching frames with a fingertip, not to summon anything, just to acknowledge what a wall holds when rooms get loud. On the last frame, the glass wobbles a little. I press it firm and it stops. The phone stays on the counter. I keep my hands off it. The urge to refresh bloodies more pilots than wind does. As sunset stains the cabinets, a new thought begins to form. Not fear, just engineering. If she can't block the door, she'll try to flood the runway. Which is why I end the day by moving the slide rule from the folder to my pocket. Tomorrow I'll need it where I can reach it. Not superstition, habit. The building will open either way. The envelope will open only once. Everything else is noise. And the only useful question left between now and that door is simple enough to sleep on. Will Stephanie try a pre-reading blockade or push a midnight will scan? At 8:37 p.m., Green's voice comes through the speaker like a level line on a gauge. Scope is tight, he says. We're not serving a lawsuit. We're preserving evidence and giving a no recording reminder for tomorrow. Understood, I say. I tap the slide rule once against the case folder. Discipline before action. Mia joins the call. Use our licensed server, not your voice, she says. And if refusal happens, you log. Don't argue. From somewhere on the 202, turn signal ticking like a metronome. Name's Ortiz, badge current. I'll read the 2 lines. If she refuses, the app generates a receipt. Send me the footer, Mia says. 1 timestamp. No extras. We hang up. The house makes its nighttime noises. Ice maker cough. AC sigh. I lay the estate originals only folder open on the table so I won't pace. The sticky above the monitor reads T Trakes 12H in my handwriting. It's the only sentence I need. Angled my phone lights, Mia again, this time by text. Blinked a script for Ortiz, verbatim. Evidence preservation and no recording notice for tomorrow's will reading at 10 a.m. Please accept, if refused. Refusal noted, then log. Me, got it. 10 minutes later, Ortiz calls from Stephanie's parking lot. I can hear night. Metal gate groan, a distant TV through stucco. Commentario's directory shows her unit, he says. Ready? Forging ready, I say. Imogen. The intercom crackles. Stephanie's voice comes tinned and sharp. Who is this? License process server, Ortiz says, calm. Evidence preservation and no recording notice for tomorrow's will reading at 10 o'clock a.m. Please accept. Silence, Yang, she says. I don't take papers at night. Unleast I need to present it in person. He replies, still calm. Lobby is fine. Hadge down, email me a scan. Tangled refusal noted. He ends the exchange cleanly, and the intercom goes dead with a sting of static. Heart pulse, small lawful moves trim big wind. Blankets logging, Ortiz says. I hear the soft tap-tap of his thumb on glass. App wants a photo of the door. Normal proof queue only. Right, he says, correcting. Submitting notes, generating receipt. Receiver a text arrives from Mia while he works. 1 line only, then log. Scope stays tight around my thoughts like a harness. Cling chimes through Ortiz's speaker. Got it, he says. Receipt shows 9:58 p.m. footer with my license number and GPS suppressed per your instruction. Consulted me a PDF, Mia says on a 3-way we never disconnected all the way. Howard, you'll print the first page and tuck it behind intake. On it, I say. Side event lands exactly where it should. Mia's discipline becomes muscle memory in someone else's hands. A condo neighbor rounds the hallway corner with 2 bags of groceries and stops when he sees Ortiz by the intercom panel. The plastic rustles like small rain. Everything okay? All routine, Ortiz says, professional smile. Just logging a notice for tomorrow. Familiarity lives there, the neighbor says to nobody, and disappears into his unit like a fish into dark water. It's in your inbox, Ortiz says. Anything else tonight? That's plenty, I tell him. Thank you for keeping it clean. Back at my kitchen table, the printer coughs out the receipt. I don't read the paragraphs. I read the bottom line where the footer sits steady. Attempt 9:58 p.m. T to 12 hours in Ortiz's license name. One cue is enough. I slide it into the intake sleeve behind the recorder's receipt. Phone buzzes. Stephanie, of course. Stephanie, if you've got something to say, text me. Me, rooms with minutes don't take DMs. Stephanie, you're ridiculous. Me, I'm ready. She sends a typing bubble and kills it. Silence wins the point by not swinging. I open my notes and add a single line. Evidence preservation, no recording notice. Attempt logged, refusal noted. I don't dress it up. Paper doesn't like costumes. Klang calls again, brief. Good, he says. No more moves tonight. Durstood. Climax, Mia adds. We need you clear. Unquestioned. At the clock, oven digits glowing green. Then at the sticky. T12H. Tomorrow has a number. Numbers favor the prepared. I put the slide rule into my pocket so I don't have to look for it in the morning. Habit over hope. The house breathes. Somewhere, a car peels away on a late errand that will make sense to someone. I walk once to the hallway, pictures and back. The glass holds. The frames hold. I hold. Tank, I turn off the kitchen light and leave the printer's warm page cooling beside the folder. The only heat I want in the room. Process attempt logged, refusal noted. Midnight is a long window. The lobby doors breathe me into a room that smells like toner and nerves. A printer grinds in the corner, then gives up with a papery cough. The guard slaps the side panel, embarrassed. Sorry, he says, using the 9:30 sheet till it clears. The digital clock above his desk glows 9:52 a.m. Doors were supposed to open at 9:50. The line is short but curious. Church people, a neighbor from the mailbox cluster, Aunt Carol with her bracelets faintly clinking. Stephanie stands 10 feet from the desk, bylaw binder swap for a slim clipboard. The clipboard wears certainty. Taking voice pitched for the whole lobby. You're not on the list. I'm on the latest list, I say. Policy is hourly. Guard checks the paper in his hand. I've got a 9:30, Then you need the 10 o'clock, I say calm. I feel the slide rule in my pocket and wrap my hand around it like you'd hold a truth you don't want to drop. A couple from church leans into each other. She said he's excluded, the husband whispers, not quietly. Doris, my neighbor, cuts her eyes at him. Let the minutes talk, she murmurs. It lands like a small rescue raft and floats there. Stephanie angles her clipboard so the closest phones can drink. We can't hold the room up, she tells the guard, smile compassionate enough to bruise. If he's not on this sheet. That sheet is old, I say. Your own protocol says replace it. The guard swallows. Printer jammed, he says, half apology, half excuse. I'm paging Mia now. Family tension tightens. Dad, Stephanie says, lowering her voice for just us. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I say. I'm waiting for the correct page. You're making a scene. I'm obeying the rule, I answer. You're borrowing it. Phones rise, then fall as people remember the email about no recordings during the reading. This technically isn't the reading. Boundaries like that make great stories later and bad evidence now. Aunt Carol steps closer to the desk, respectful as a school teacher. Sir, she says to the guard, could you check with Ms. Rios for the updated sheet? We'd all like to follow the correct one. The guard nods gratefully and presses the page button on his desk phone like it's a lifeboat. Mia to lobby, please. Mia to lobby. Stephanie exhales through her nose. You are addicted to paper. I'm loyal to it. Aim thing, she says. Her smile spreads for the audience. Everyone, I promise this won't take long. Shuffled flips to 9:54. The printer grinds again, coughs, spits a triangular corner of paper, then stalls. The guard reaches for it and gets a smudge of toner on his thumb that he rubs away like guilt. Stephanie says, softer, for me alone. You can watch from the hall, spare yourself. Corners aren't collapse, I say. I hold my line. Her jaw hardens. She steps the smallest step in front of me, not touching, just occupying air where mine used to be. A tiny choreography that tells the room who thinks she owns the door. Sir, the guard tries, wavering. If he's not, Stephanie says, quick. I confirmed this morning. With the 9:30 list, I say. We're past 9:30. A kid's phone makes the quick camera chime and is instantly shushed by its owner, cheeks flushing. The sound hangs in the air a second too long. Mia's on her way, the receptionist calls without looking up. She's been through mornings like this in other colors. Clang Doris edges closer to me, a wordless, flanking move. You all right? She asks out of the corner of her mouth. I'm not loud, I say. I'm ready. The digital clock says 9:56. The hum of elevators, the hiss of HVAC, the lobby's small orchestra, rises and falls. Aunt Carol checks her watch and then the door to the conference hall, where the glass shows the shape of the sealed envelope on the credenza, like a promise you can't quite hear yet. Folks, Stephanie announces to the room, if there's any confusion, we'll proceed with those authorized, and my father can wait until council clarifies. Council already clarified, I say, in writing. Hourly sheet rules the door. Unauthorized? About writing? A man asks, neutral. It's in the building, I say, where it belongs. My hand stays on the slide rule. I don't squeeze, I let it sit. Tools are for using, not for breaking. The page speaker pops. Mia, here, on my way. Stephanie shifts her weight, a small tells all. She wanted the door to close before Mia's shoes reached the tile. She wanted the story sealed with a list instead of an envelope. Dad, she says again, this time with the faint tremor that only people who raised her would hear. Don't make me do this. You already did it, I say, but quietly. In front of witnesses is better. Aunt Carol lifts her chin, subtle as a signature. The room hangs there, 9:58 shining blue from the clock, the guard with the wrong paper in the right hand, phones drooping on their leashes, the printer sulking. The door to the hall hasn't opened. The door in the lobby might as well be a wall. The guard looks at the outdated sign-in sheet, then at me, then at Stephanie. He wets his lip. Ms. Rios, he calls to the air, paging again. Miss Rios to the lobby. I don't move. Neither does Stephanie. The room decides nothing, it just waits. Cornered isn't collapsed, I hold my line. And the moment freezes on the hinge of a rule as the guard hesitates, old list in hand while Mia is being paged. Tavinger breaks through the lobby with her tablet tucked like a shield and a crisp page clipped to a board. Use this, she tells the guard. Read the footer. He clears his throat so the room hears him. Printed. 9:58 a.m. The paper snaps as he opens the clip. Phones tilt to catch it. Mia lifts a palm, no photos. She slides the old 9:30 sheet out from under and replaces it with the new sign-in sheet in one clean motion. That sheet rules the door, she says. Proceed. The guard looks relieved. Proceed. Stephanie's smile thins. We'll be late. Mia answers, already moving. Mr. Mitchell, left of council. I press the slide rule once against the folder, discipline over volume, and step forward. The digital clock flips 9:59. The door opens a sliver. Cool conference room air leaks into the lobby like a promise. Policy isn't a costume, I whisper as we reach the threshold. Truth isn't a prop, Stephanie fires back. Wolves are repeatable. Edits aren't, I say, and the words feel like a rivet driven home. Aunt Carol taps the guard's desk lightly. Thank you for reading the time, she says. He nods, grateful for plain manners. We pivot toward the conference room. The sealed envelope sits where it sat yesterday, patient as gravity. Chairs wait with name tense. Green glances up, takes in the moment with one economical look, and gives a small nod. On schedule. Behind us, the lobby vibrates, a dozen phones buzzing like insects at a window. Doris checks hers, winces. Oh, she says aloud, then clamps a hand over her mouth. What? Someone asks. On multiple screens at once, a notification blooms in bold. Exclusive. Will excludes estranged father. A thumbnail shows a scan of a page with my name absent
and a conveniently cropped seal. The source is a blog that loves drama more than corrections. "See?" a parishioner whispers. "She said..." "Noon inside," Mia says, ushering, voice steady.
We start at 10. Heart pulse. I win the door and lose the room. Hold steady. The clock flips to 10 o'clock. Green is already standing. The MC instinct, he doesn't need clicks on, and the room curves its attention toward him. At the threshold, Stephanie leans in just enough for me to hear. "You can still walk away." "Underestimated, already walking in," I say. Her phone buzzes again. Mine stays in my pocket. I don't need the headline, I need the envelope. Mia plants the clipboard on the side credenza, the 9:58 a.m. footer peeking from the top sheet where anyone who cares can read it. She draws a quiet line in the air with her pen. You hear, and the room obeys. The lobby, now half audience and half rumor mill, takes a breath as the conference door swings wider. Someone mutters, "If the article's right." Green lifts a hand. "Phones away," he says. "This is a reading, not a feed." Chairs scrape. The door eases toward closed. My palm finds the folder. The slide rule sits where I need it. The seal on the envelope goes suddenly very real. Not a picture, not a thumbnail. Paper that still has a voice. And as we cross the line from lobby noise into room order, the push alert hums in pockets like a last mosquito. Auxiliary exclusive. Will excludes estranged father. Wilmington. We don't swat it. We shut the door, which leaves one honest uncertainty hanging with the dust motes over the table. Will that smear sway the room inside? Green rests a palm on the sealed manila envelope like a pilot settling a hand on a throttle. The room tightens. Phones are face down. The wall clock is an afterthought. Original last will and testament of Eleanor Hart Mitchell, notarized, he says. We will open and read it now. He breaks the seal. Paper whispers. The embossed notary seal catches light. Raised, honest, not a picture of a seal, but a seal. He holds it to the lamp so even the back row can see the impression. A rustle moves through the room. Steps down, body pitched forward, toed at her feet, jaw set for victory. Green reads. Names, formal phrases, then the sentence that changes air. To my husband, Howard Mitchell, I entrust stewardship of the residue of my estate, estimated at $39 million, to be administered for aerospace scholarships and community grants at his discretion, consistent with the memorandum herein. He exhales like they've been underwater. Aunt Carol grips the chair rail. The MC, out of habit, almost says, "Wow," and swallows it. Stephanie's hand flies to her tote. That's not what the will says, she protests. The scan, Autry's is falsified, Green says, level. He keeps one fingertip on the embossed seal as if he's grounding the room. This is the original, with witnesses and notary. Eyes is halfway. Screens told the story. Tell the truth, I say. My voice is steady because it isn't mine alone anymore. Colonel Davis stands without being asked. For the record, he says, I reviewed a video shown in this building 2 nights ago. I stated then and state now, integrity isn't edited. Green nods. And per the Hall's procedure, Ms. Mitchell emailed that video to the Hall account. Council has confirmed the send. Additionally, a licensed lab issued a preliminary note of cut joins and audio drift. He doesn't waive papers. He doesn't need to. The will in his hand outshines every screen in the city. Stephanie's gaze flashes around the table looking for purchase. That blog. Ingalls sheet, her pen pointing like a compass. The blog post lacks a verifiable seal and cites an anonymous source. We will be sending a correction request. Minutes to file after this reading. The red light on a small voice recorder blinks, calm as a heartbeat. I set my slide rule beside the open will, a straight line laid next to a straight fact. Opinions splice, originals don't. Defiance, Carol adds her one stitch. I was in the lobby, the latest list got read. We all walked in. Silence lands. Not the hush of fear, the quiet of something that just clicked into place. Green continues, reading the scholarship directive and the grants memorandum. He finishes with the customary closing and lays the last page flat so the seal is visible. This will speaks, he says. Questions may be directed to counsel after the reading. Stephanie wobbles. It isn't theatrical, it's a human system losing pressure. She looks at me the way someone looks at a mirror they've avoided. Dad, she says, voice thinning. I thought, what did you think? I ask, not unkind. That if I managed the story, I could control the past. She tries a breath and misses it. I'm sorry. The two words come out raw, not dressed for an audience. Her shoulders fold. I shouldn't have doctored anything. I shouldn't have said those things. Davis does not rescue her. He only gives the room permission to stay still. Mia's pen stops. The red recorder light blinks. Green waits a courteous beat. Ms. Mitchell, he says, you are welcome to make a written correction to the outlets you contacted. We will provide you with language. Your editor appears to have emailed just now. He nods toward her vibrating phone. Wildfires. The subject line is easy to read from 3 seats away. Hold review. Conflict and falsification concerns. Her face breaks in the middle. I'll make it right, she says, eyes on the table. I'll print a correction, she swallows. I'm sorry, Dad. Family tension turns a gear it's refused to touch. This is remorse, not a performance note. It costs her something. Crown, I don't need you to love me, I say. I need the record to stand. Premier closes the will with both hands, careful, respectful, like a hatch on a fuselage. The record stands, he says. Stewardship accepted. Submerged, I meet the eyes that matter. Davis, Aunt Carol, Mia. The MC who will tell this straight, and then I nod. Accepted. Scholarships and community grants, as she asked. Davis gives one sentence, the exact weight of a signature. I will testify to what I saw here today. Ragasso. So will I. The MC. And I. Unnamed wipes her face with the back of her wrist. Can I help with the scholarships? I know I don't deserve to. You can submit in writing, Green says. Same tone for everybody. This is a legal administration, not a reconciliation circle. She nods, small, understanding a new math. Mia caps her pen. Minutes to file, she says, mostly to herself. The recorder blinks again, a quiet promise that what just happened will be what happened tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Green folds the will into its sleeve. Thank you, everyone, he says. Phones may be retrieved. Council will circulate the memorandum for scholarships within 10 business days. Chairs move, the room stays courteous. Doris passes behind Stephanie and touches her shoulder once. Not absolution, not condemnation, just the human gesture you give a person who's learning gravity the hard way. I slide the rule back into my pocket. It's warm from the table lamp. My hands are steady. Wireless this room, a headline still hums on screens. Inside, a seal pressed into paper has already outlived it. We stand. Green closes the folder. Mia says again, like a flight checklist item, minutes to file, and the red light blinks. Green's conference room looks smaller after a storm passes. Papers are squared, chairs behave. Mia's recorder blinks once more and she taps stop, then saves. Minutes filed, she says, eyes on her screen. Correction packets dispatched to outlets that amplify the scan. Good, Green says. He turns to me. Next, we build the stewardship scaffolding. You'll open a dedicated account under a trust instrument. Disbursements require dual control, counsel plus administrator. Let's hold this in interesting. I know heroics, I say, just rails. He allows half a smile. Exactly. My phone pings a calendar note Mia sent while talking. Scholarship memorandum, 10 business days. The sound is gentle, the kind you keep. I accept it and picture paper moving through offices, silent and persuasive. Bank intake at 1, Mia says. They'll walk you through the checklist. I'll sit in. No. Stephanie hovers by the door, smaller than yesterday and exactly the right size, which is to say, human-sized. May I? She stops. I'll submit a written correction to everyone I misled. Today. That's a good first step, Green says in the same voice he uses for everyone. She looks to me. Can I help? With the scholarships? Tension has one more turn to make. To help, I say. After your corrections run. Same process as anyone else. She nods, a real nod, not a performative one. I understand, she swallows. I meant it, I'm sorry. I heard you, I say. We build with receipts, not regrets. She almost smiles at that because it's a line I would have said 10 years ago. Then she goes, escorted by her own consequences. Green's phone buzzes. He glances and forwards an email to Mia. One of the bloggers, he says, snide follow-up. Please attach the sealed will excerpt, haul, email send, and lab prelim note references. No adjectives. On it, Mia says. The email swoosh is crisp as a checkmark. Knives and auto-reply arrives a minute later. Mia reads, "Correction received. Updating." She nods to herself. Next, we break for water, and a breath that isn't victory, just oxygen. The room knows the difference. Conserve, at 1 o'clock, we dial into the bank's foundation team. The hold music is unnecessarily cheerful. Mr. Mitchell, the officer says when she joins, voice pleasant with guardrails, "Congratulations on your appointment. For scholarships and grants, we recommend a dual control disbursement, conflict of interest policy, and quarterly public report. We'll email a checklist. Foreclosure, I say. We prefer structure, It keeps honesty easy. Davis calls as we hang up. I put him on speaker. I can sign a one-paragraph witness statement Monday, he says. Plain language, what was read, what was said, nothing more. Invoked, Green says, unlocking, I add. You've got altitude, keep it, he says, and hangs up before we can waste his time. Heart pulse, victory isn't noise, it's follow-through. Back home, I clear the kitchen table and lay out a new folder. I print a clean label in block letters. Scholarships, stewardship. The slide rule goes across it like a beam across two sawhorses. X comes in from Stephanie, short, correction sent to editor. A follow-up. I'll send you the published link when it's live. No begging, no bargaining. Good. Tay reply. Received. Submit any scholarship work in writing. Then I put the phone face down so it can't ask for more attention than it deserves. Mia's email lands. Minutes filed. Correction sent. Beneath it, a smaller meeting invite dings. Scholarship memorandum, 10 business days. I accept, then duplicate the reminder in my own words. Because habit is how you reduce accidents. The house is quiet again. Not empty, just not lying to itself. I open the back door and let a hot square of Phoenix afternoon press against the screen. Heat doesn't care about stories. It's simply there, and you plan around it. I go back to the table, write a single page titled, First Steps, Establish Criteria, Assemble an Advisory Panel, Coordinate with the Veterans Hall for outreach, set up an application portal that doesn't make students feel like beggars. No adjectives, just rails. The slide rule is warm under my palm. It leaves a faint line on the folder's gloss when I move it, like a pencil without lead. Take. My last task is the smallest one. I open the calendar app and pin a reminder 10 business days out. Scholarship memorandum, due. The ping is soft, a future sound that will arrive no matter who is angry or ecstatic that day. Green's earlier line loops in my head. The record stands. It doesn't stand because I shouted. It stands because we put one foot in front of the other in the rooms that keep minutes and the desks that make copies. And we didn't let ourselves get clever when boring would win. The email counter shows nothing new. The phone stays dark. I close the folder and let my hands rest on it. In goes about its business and fades. Inside, numbers and names are finally on my side. That's not triumph, that's gravity remembered. The calendar ping is the last sound of the day that matters. Scholarship memorandum, 10 business days. I let it sit on the screen, then clear it. Work to do. I learned patience isn't silence, it's ballast. What keeps a man upright while storms audition? My daughter will write her corrections, I'll write criteria. Justice moved at the speed of minutes, not mouths, and that was enough. I closed the folder, set the slide rules straight, a small, clean click. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Type 1 if you resonate with this story.